Good afternoon, you guys. Welcome back to Spillin' It.
Hello.
We got the bestie here. You guys all know Rachel for the most part. We're going to do a little bit more like in-depth stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we'd start with, well, we got a lot of questions from you guys on the gram that we will be answering. But first, let's talk about how we even know each other, I guess. Like a reintroduction,
Okay.
I feel like.
So we met at church.
Yep.
Same church that Ethan went to.
Jason, our Alaska friend. Yep.
Yeah, it's like we all like grew up together, but I was like maybe 7 or like we were around
6, 7, 8.
Yeah, when you guys had already been going to the church, we were new to the church.
Yeah.
And
I don't even know, like, did my mom go, oh, you have, or did I just, you were there?
no, our moms your mom was like, I have a daughter, Courtney. And like, so we had this brief interaction, right? And we went to church at a school and there was a teacher's lounge with vending machines.
Yep.
And I remember going in there and it was when you could buy a 25-cent pack of gum. It was 5 pieces.
5 sticks.
5 sticks.
Yep.
And I was like eating my gum and Court's like, can I have a piece? You know, just like held out her hand. Like it was like she wasn't taking no for an answer.
Yep.
Which if I know her now, that's like makes so much sense.
Yes. I think I come off, that is like the main thing that I feel like I come off harsh, but I'm not trying.
Yeah.
Either.
You've always been so confident and like sure of yourself. And like me, I'd be like, I don't even think I would ask.
You probably wouldn't.
No, even if I really wanted one, I would be like, they have to offer it to me. I'm not going to be like, can I have a piece of your gum?
But like, can I have a piece? And I literally held out my hand just like that.
And me being like a little bit of a people pleaser, I didn't want to give her one because I'm like, you're a stranger to me. I only have 5 pieces.
But I remember your sister got one. Everybody started asking you for
yeah,
piece
and then
of
I
gum.
had none left. And it was 5-pack or like a 5,
yes, 5 sticks.
Yes.
And that's like our first interaction. I think that we both were like,
I don't know why it's like a core memory for both of us.
Literally, I remember being like, can I have a piece of gum? Can I have a piece? That was it.
I swear to God, was it not cinnamon too?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yep. Red hot.
But I loved cinnamon gum. We were literally just talking about this the other day because Rachel has the craziest, most sensitive skin ever. And like, if two people could be super similar, but also so opposite.
Polar opposite in so many ways.
It's 100% us because I could literally get a laser treatment and my skin's like red for a day. Rachel had, like, you could scratch her with like a brush. She brushes her hair.
Twist my necklace just like normal people do, and it'll leave like
welts
all along my neck, and people are like, "What happened?" And I'm like, "Huh? Like I don't know. I
did a cat attack
you?"
Yeah,
remember, was that with
all
you
the
at
time.
Bath and Body Works? And
Yes.
she was like, "Did a cat scratch?" And we were like, "No,
it's her skin. She just touched it with her fingernail." But I feel like it was Mandy who said, "Yeah, I saw somebody at school put the cinnamon side.
You lick it.
Yes. Of the wrapper. You lick the wrapper of a cinnamon gum and then you stick it to your forehead. I don't know
and
why.
It burns for like a second or something like that. Everyone else did it. It was there for 2 seconds. You guys, it was like a red square
on your forehead
for hours.
Hours.
Like the whole church.
And you have more like, I shouldn't say pale, but like fair skin.
Yeah.
And it was bright red, just right in the middle of her forehead. She was like, why would you do? I remember you being mad. Like, why would you tell me to do that?
Yeah.
To Mandy, because
Yeah.
it was like her idea. Mandy also remember.
Mandy is my sister.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, my older sister.
Rachel has 4 siblings. There's 5 of them. And Mandy's closer in our age, and so is my sister Danielle. And like the 4 of us would all kind of hang out and mingle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, one time Mandy, that was our best friend story. We should probably say that. I said it at your wedding. The foot through the wall.
Oh yes.
Okay, so it was your room, or was it Mandy?
It was Mandy's room.
It was Mandy's room, and she was like, "What was her idea?" She said, she saw somebody, or she climbed the wall between the two. It was like a hallway kind of.
Yeah, you like walked in her room and there's like a little, you basically walk into a wall.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's like a section of wall where you can like, she was like shimmying up.
She put her foot on the sides of the wall and her back on the other side of the wall. And she kind of shimmied all the way up
To the ceiling.
To the ceiling. And I, being like the crazy person that I am all the time, I'm like, I want to do that.
Well, and a gymnast. And
Yes.
so you did it in like 3 seconds.
3 seconds, got right up there.
Mandy
we took
had
pictures.
clearly been practicing. So then it was my turn. And I
practicing.
couldn't get it. Like,
No. You got up there. We were kind of holding you. And
I couldn't figure out how to shimmy up. And then who said?
Mandy was like, you have to push harder. So she went, boom, boom, right through the wall. First of all, Rachel and Mandy both were like, I started laughing because that's what I do in like really uncomfortable situations. I just started dying laughing. And then they both were like, how are we going to tell mom and dad? They're going to be so mad.
Like when it's at your house and you do something and you're like, we are in deep trouble. I mean, I just put a hole in the wall and it was the size of my foot. So it wasn't a small hole.
No, we were probably like, a little bit older than Jada, but imagine having the neighbors over, my kids over.
Yeah, I feel like we were like 13-ish.
Yeah,
like,
and they're like, we put a hole in the wall. Can you imagine being like, what did you do?
And my first thought would be like, thank God it ain't my house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it was.
It was. That's what I thought. I was like, my mom and dad aren't going to be mad at me. So then what happened next is the best part probably of this whole entire story.
Yeah, seriously.
Literally, they stared at it for a while and then they were like, how are we going to tell mom and dad? And then I feel like it was you. Probably. Or Mandy, I can't even remember, but you were like, I think Mandy said first, Court, you should say that you did it. And then you were like, yeah, you'll be my best friend forever if you tell my mom that you did it, or we tell her that you did it, because she won't be mad at you.
She won't be mad at you. She can't be mad at you.
Yes. And I was like, okay.
How you agreed? First of all, I don't even know.
I was like, sure.
Looking back, I'm like, wow, that was not very friend-like.
You like bribe me, I'll be your best friend forever. I'm like, fine, better live up to that.
I kept my word.
You sure did. So our idea was like, how do we tell her that I did it? So we came up with this like
crazy story,
ridiculous story.
Like, who would believe it?
I don't. Your parents did
for a long time.
They just found out this was not a true story at your wedding, probably.
The extent that we made, I mean, we scratched your arm with a key to make it, you guys.
So basically we said, okay.
You were hiding.
I was hiding, and then you came in and I got scared and my elbow went through the wall.
Yeah.
That's what we came up with.
And then we were like, well, wait, her elbow isn't red or scratched up. It's supposed to go through a wall. So we're taking a key.
Scratching it, slapping it. Literally, it looked like it was all scratched up because for real, it takes a lot for me to get like a scratch or a wound. Yeah. Like, I held it out like this.
I think I blacked out though when we told my mom because I have no recollection of telling her. It's like I know that we did, but I don't remember going up there and being like, Mom, we have something to. I literally must have blacked out.
I wonder though if she was like, because I remember being like, look, my elbow. And she was like, oh no. But you know how she does that? Like, oh yeah. Like, that's like what she said.
Totally.
And then that was literally it. And then we went, I don't know. That was it. And then we were best friends forever.
And she wasn't mad.
No, she wasn't. She wasn't. It is a good idea. I mean,
our plan worked at the end of the day.
It did. At her wedding, I think, is when they actually found out that story was not true at all. Because we concocted this whole thing. And then now we're best friends and have ever since.
And the hole got fixed. All is well.
Yeah. Like years later.
Yeah.
Like
years.
But I mean, I can only imagine if our kids did something like that. I feel like they would.
Totally.
Like tell my
but
mom
like
that you
I've
did it.
busted my kids coming up with plans and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah. I feel like I have a pretty I'm like, you're lying.
Yes. I can like tell and be like, it was Hal.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell who's telling the truth and who's lying.
It's like when you have my 3 dogs and you're like, who pooped? You know who's the guilty one. Poppy like immediately hides. I'm like, you little, I mean, obviously. Hers are tiny, you can tell. Anyway. So yeah, we've been friends since we were 6. We literally went to like youth camp together. We have an insane amount of stories to tell. Like camp was one of them, like where we just
we went to church every Sunday, and then it was youth group every Wednesday. Church camps. We had what was called Youth Alive, which was like extended long weekends, and like a lot of people think that we went to high school together.
Yeah, we didn't.
We did not.
We were actually talking about that the other day because Nevaeh and her best friend go to the same high school. And I'm like, I wonder how different. I'm 1 grade above Rachel, but we're like 6 months-ish.
You're very young for your grade, and I'm very in the middle.
Yes, you're in the middle. You're February, I'm July, but I was like graduated at 17. And I just wonder how different our relationship would be if we went to the same high school.
Yeah.
Because so many people are like, did you have a crush on the same guy? And I'm like, well, at church camp, we did, but
it was never like we both just were like, he's cute. Like it wasn't like he's mine, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so weird because I remember like we all grew up together, and I remember the time that I was Ethan started liking me or whatever, and you were like, weird. It is kind of weird.
It is
we
weird.
We grew up together, and then all of a sudden
it shifted from friendship to like dating, and like this was someone that I'd also known
forever,
and we'd gone on trips with Ethan's family. We went to like a cabin and camping, and so my family was. So it's funny because Jason's mom,
which Jason is our Alaska friend who we're still all really close with.
Yes,
he's like our brother.
Yep. And then Ethan's mom and my mom were all like best friends. Like the 3 of them hung out all the time.
Yep.
So we just are all very, very intertwined.
Yes. And none of us went to the same school. Ethan didn't go to the same school. I didn't even go to the same school as Jason. Jason went to the private school.
Yeah.
And so none of us went to the same school, but we went to prom together.
Yep.
I was dating Ethan at that time. And I remember I convinced Jeremy, I'm like, I think you should ask Rachel. Because I'm like, can you imagine if we went to, because he didn't have a date.
Yeah.
And I remember
and we were all friends.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine going to prom together? And we did.
We did.
It was so fun. That was my senior year. I was like, it's not as fun as last year because we had Jason came, Rachel, Ethan. Jason went to prom with my sister. Remember that?
Yep.
It was so.
For not like going to the same school, we got to experience a lot of things that, you know what I mean? Like
I went to Rachel's school once. I know we talked about it on the podcast before, but like we came up.
Weird. I don't think that's a thing anymore.
No, absolutely
like here, can
not.
my friend from Elk River just follow me around for a day?
I didn't even know you could do that. I had the day off, and I was like, I should come to school with you.
You rode the bus with me.
I did.
Think of all the notes and stuff we had to get, but I just remember all my teachers had to sign off on it that they were okay with it. Then I brought it to the office, and they were like, she can come.
Yeah.
How weird.
It is so weird. And it is also weird that I'm like, on my day off, I chose to like wake up and go to school with you. Like, that's what I wanted to do. I was like, yes, I do. But I knew all your friends too.
Yeah.
So I think that's where like some of the questions that we got were so interesting because a lot of them were like, did you go to the same school? Did you have a crush on the same boy? Which maybe we did. We were talking about.
We did, but never. Yeah. If anything, like I would get annoyed introducing Courtney to people because she's so like, I don't know. She has such a personality and a presence that like, I'd be like, I have a crush. This is my best friend. And then they'd be like, oh, she's really cute. And then I feel threatened.
Yeah.
Like, not like annoyed of you, but like, ugh.
Yeah. No, I know.
It was like my own insecurity. Like I wasn't good enough or like, you know what I mean? But I just don't have as big of a presence as you do.
Yeah.
When you walk into a room, you know what I mean? Like you're like, hey, like
she's here. Just kidding.
And I'm like, hi.
Yeah. Well, it's like if you know my mom and my dad too, they are very much like that.
Both of them.
They're very strong personalities. And your parents aren't as like
they're more
loud.
reserved.
Yes.
Oh, totally.
Like you're like, oh, Dave's here. You can hear him laughing a mile away.
Right.
And my mom is just, I'm like a mix between the two
and
of them, I think.
Being in a bigger family, like sometimes I was like in the younger, you know, I'm
you were
second to youngest. I was the youngest for 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Yeah, you were the baby for a bit, and then you had Ben.
Right. And that was like right around when I was like going into like middle school and stuff. So I just feel like sometimes,
Yeah.
I just.
Well, it's the same for me. Like, I would be like, if I introduced you to a boy that I liked, I would be like,
Right?
do you like her too now? Like, I don't know.
You guys, one time she like.
This
Do you
is
know
the
what I'm gonna
stupidest.
say?
Yes, I do. I was like, this is the stupidest thing, but this is.
So
What-
when her
what
and
was I, like-
Ethan started dating,
This is
she
how
was like,
insecure-
she asked him, "Do you think Rachel's pretty?" And he was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." And then she was like, got mad that he said I was pretty, but then she was also like, I would have been mad if he said you weren't, because I would have been like,
You're lying.
he's like, it was a lose-lose. You set me up for failure.
I
Like,
did. That was like my 16-year-old like self. Like
Totally.
being like, well, do you think she's pretty? And then mad that he said yes, but also like, well, if
I
he
think
said-
she's pretty. So like,
If he said no, I'd be like, well, you're a liar. So like, I don't trust you.
it's just like that immature high school stuff you think back on,
Totally.
like, oh, poor Eve.
Poor Eth. He's like, yeah. He like, okay. So dumb. But that was one of the questions. Do you ever get jealous of each other, or
I feel like maybe in the past or in high school, like,
I know when I got my new car, I remember you being like, my car that my parents bought me.
yeah,
And you had to pay for your car.
we grew up very different because obviously there was just the 2 girls in your house and then there's 5 in mine.
Yeah.
Like my parents, like, like lived paycheck to paycheck for a long time. So we like, and there was just a lot of us.
Yeah. They're
So,
not
like,
buying, if they're
we
buying a
didn't-
car for one, they're buying them for.
Right. So I had to buy my own car all by myself. So I didn't get one until I just graduated high school.
Yeah.
And you were like, my parents bought me this car. And I'm like, must be freaking nice.
Yeah. I
know,
literally
like-
remember you being like, wow. Because it was a cute little car.
But it wasn't like I was mad at you. I was just like, I wish I had that.
Yeah.
You
like
know?
jealous of the situation. And
Totally.
I don't think, I don't know that there's a time that I was like, I am jealous of you right now. Like just of you.
I think if anything, you were maybe jealous of my experience going to college and like you
Yeah.
basically saw me out like living my best life and she was at home with 2 kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I
Well,
don't think
yeah.
you were like once again not jealous like mad at me, but you were kind of
Right.
like she kind of at like 24 went through this period of like is the grass greener?
Yep.
And
Yep.
like
Well, it's like I got married at 18 and that's what I thought I wanted at the time. It was like what everybody was doing kind of.
well yeah, and
But
at that
also-
age you don't know yourself.
No. And I literally went from my parents' house to being married to Ethan.
Right.
And I wish that I thought about it a little bit longer or something.
Because we used to say like, what if we go to college together and we'll room together
have
and
an
we had
apartment together.
we had all these plans and
Yeah.
then it was like she got married so young, which it at the time made sense. Like it was just
Right.
like that's. But we
also,
were told,
we grew up in a church that said like
yeah,
it's a sin if you move
we were
in together.
told that you can't have sex before marriage and that if you live together, it's a sin. And so that was like really pushed on us. And
Yeah.
we were very religious. And so it felt shameful.
Yeah.
And you wanted to like get on with your life with Ethan. So it
Right.
was almost like this pressure.
It felt like at the time, and maybe this sounds really dramatic, but to me as a 17, 18-year-old, like I knew I wanted to marry Ethan.
Yeah.
Like, I knew
Mm-hmm.
we were going to get married. It's like once we started dating, I was like, oh, yep, like he's my person. But if I were to like go to college or move in with Rachel, I felt like, I don't know, I felt like we can't, almost like if I didn't get married, we'd break up. And that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I don't even know if that makes sense. Like, I don't know if I'm making sense. But basically, my thought was if I didn't get married right away, I couldn't just like move in with Ethan and like be dating and live in an
Well,
apartment.
you were fighting with wanting to, do normal things, but also wanting to do them with Ethan.
Yeah.
And you felt like you couldn't do both at the same time.
Which is so ridiculous. And I wish I could like go back and tell
Yeah.
myself, like, there is no rush. Like, girl, what are you? And I'm so different than I was when I was 18.
Right.
Like, I'm way more like, nope, I like that. I don't like that.
Mhm.
At 18, I was kind of, and I think we all grew up in such a fear-based community that we were afraid of anything we did wrong.
Yeah. Well, like, so I started dating Josh at 19.
Yes.
Which is still very young,
I
but
wish I did what you did.
We dated for 5 years, like all through college, got engaged and still got married at 24, which to me now still feels really young.
Yes.
But like, I remember having to tell my mom, like I was having issues with my roommates at the time. And my mom said, well, why don't you just move in with Josh?
Yeah.
And I was like, like it came from her. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because like
what I was thinking.
Couldn't imagine having to tell her. But like in those years, she'd come around. She's like, I know you guys are going to get married.
Right.
Like
if my mom would have said that, I would have been like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm moving in. But you were able to have roommates with, Josh had his roommate, like his best friend. And then you had your friend. So you had like your girl time and he had his
and we went to the same college, which obviously made things so much easier and whatever. But she would come to school with me and we would go out and do normal college things, you know, out on the town.
It's like I needed to have that experience like for a day. Yeah. And then I would be like, okay, that was fun. And then I come back and it's almost like I lived it, but I didn't live it at the same time.
Right.
But I think that was one of the questions that we got on Instagram was like, what was the most time that you, not like, obviously we have fights, we will talk about that, but a time where you didn't feel close. And that was that time. Yeah. Because I mean, if you think about it, you're a normal 21-year-old. Do you remember it was my wedding, the night before my wedding, the rehearsal, and you were like, I have a high school, it was like your senior year. Yeah. And you were like, I'm going to maybe go to this or whatever. And I was like, it's my wedding. I only get married once. And you were like, I'm a senior and I only graduate once. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Do you remember that?
Yeah. It was, we would like go to, they called it the mines every year. It was like a big senior trip and it was like a big camping trip. And you heard about it every year. And it was just like.
It was a camping trip?
Yeah. Like we would all go camping at the mines. You'd bring tents. And
where is this?
I honestly don't even know anymore.
Yeah,
I don't remember because I didn't go, you guys. Yeah. I went to Court's wedding, obviously. And I always was going to, but I think I just wanted you to understand that, you know what I mean? Like I was like,
it's my senior year too.
It's a senior trip and I'm missing it. And, you know, so we've definitely battled being in different stages of life. Like I never thought that we were ever going to have kids grow up together. Yeah. Because she told me she was done after Nevaeh. She's like, I'm done. I only want 2. I have my boy. I have my girl. I'm good.
Yep. But I will tell you, I debated that third one a lot.
You did. You were kind of back and forth, but I was like mourning that, like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to get to have. We had a lot of plans, you know, and it got like.
We did.
We were just on different paths. And then I got pregnant with Jada. And it was like, that was the push you needed. And she got her IUD out and like was literally pregnant.
Yeah. And this was at a time where, which is kind of like a full circle moment for probably both of us. Her and Josh moved into our house. And you lived in our basement. We had like a door and everything. You guys were saving money. You were waiting to buy.
We were like in the transition of we just graduated college and we didn't know what to do. Student loans were kicking in. We both weren't getting our like, you know, our real jobs. We were interviewing. Nothing was happening. So Courtney and Ethan were like, well, why don't you just like move in with us and we'll just like charge you very minimal for rent and you guys can get on your feet. And then we got.
You were there a year?
About
a year. And I honestly was like, at first I was like, oh my God, I'm nervous. Yeah. Like I've heard, and obviously Rachel's been through roommate problems.
Where we were friends and we're no longer friends.
Yes. And that was my biggest fear. But literally it was like the easiest thing ever. Yeah. Like and it was really nice because like she got pregnant almost, you got pregnant right away. And then I was like, I'm getting my IUD out. And then I got pregnant. And so we both were like pregnant together, living in the same house. Yeah. And then we had our newborns for a couple months.
Yeah. Jada was like, I think 3 months or 2 months when we moved into our apartment after that.
Yeah. And Jada it's so crazy having 2 newborn babies in your house. And like they could be not more drastically different.
Grayson never cried.
Not a peep. He was the easiest baby in the world.
And Jada was hard. She cried and cried.
She cried the moment she came out.
Screamed.
I remember telling Ethan, and I know I told you this, but I remember leaving being like, I don't remember any of my kids crying this much like the day they were born because she cried at the hospital almost the whole time.
I remember thinking they showed us like this shaken baby video and I was like, oh my gosh, like how could anyone ever?
Yeah. But when you
yeah, like I
Mhm.
obviously would never be like, "Ugh," but that frustration of being like, I don't know what to do for you. I've changed you. I've fed you. I've burped you. Like she just cried and she had a lot of skin problems and she would like projectile vomit
Yeah.
and she had a rash at a week. Like bloody. And Court was like,
Raw.
I've never seen a rash on a baby, a
Yeah.
newborn baby like this.
It was like, I remember you had to put the cream on her, and I just remember being like, oh my God, it's almost like sticky.
Yes. It was
how
like
bad it was?
bloody looking.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, we figured out she was like basically allergic to my breast milk. So imagine she was just miserable for the
Yeah.
first like 5 months of her life.
She had, very bumpy. I remember like Ethan and I could hear her from upstairs, and she was born a month before Gray, literally almost to the day.
Yeah.
Gray's the 1st or the 3rd of August, and Jada's the 1st of July. So they're a month apart. And I remember Josh one time coming up and being like, oh, is Grace in here? And I was like, oh yeah, he's in the swing. And he's like, oh my God, he's so quiet. And I'm like, I know you, but I think that's like the third baby thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's like they're just so used to the noise and whatever they come
Chaos
out. And he was so chill. But then I remember Jada, Ethan, that man could calm her so well.
She loved Ethan.
I mean, so does Hal.
Yeah.
But as a baby, Jada definitely like he
Yeah,
would
but Hal is
swaddle
like
her.
a toddler.
Yes. Yeah. Ethan.
Ethan, can I have a snack?
It's like all.
And he's like,
Ethan,
yeah. Like he can't
of
say
course,
no.
Hal. Yeah. She'd be like, yeah, Hal's having this fit, but he's Hal. She's an angel. I'm like, Ethan. She's a Sour Patch Kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would take her, and I remember Ethan would wrap her and swaddle her, and you could just like get a break because
I don't know that I could have survived it without living with you. It's almost like God
Yeah.
knew that I needed that.
yeah,
Because I had Jada and Josh is in the military. And so he had to go to AT like
For, like, 2
immediately.
weeks.
And it's like 2 weeks of he had to be at AT. And I had this fresh baby and I was like, she was crying all the time. And then I was crying all the time. And it was like, and so sometimes I remember she would just be screaming and I would just be sitting there like, I don't know what to do. And Court would come down and she's like, I'm going to just take her.
yeah.
She wouldn't say anything to me. Like, it was just like, I'm taking her.
You need a
and
break.
she would like go upstairs and then I would like bawl or take a shower or,
yeah,
you know, like,
yeah. And I remember too, like feeling so bad because this is such a dumb memory, but I remember we got new carpet and you had to like take all your baby stuff and go to the cabin where Josh was.
yes.
And I remember being like, oh my God, you're doing all, like me and Ethan are helping you because you had so much shit at that time.
Yeah.
Remember the car seat, I mean, you were
diaper
gonna
bag,
be gone.
the bumbo, the like,
Everything. So we did end up getting to live together, but not like I thought.
yeah.
That's how the world turns, I guess. You know, you think one thing
Yep.
and then
God
look,
has another plan.
he's like, actually not. You are going to live together when you're in your 27, actually. Is when I had Gray.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
Yep. 26.
whatever that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get into some questions because some of these are so good. Icks about each other. Also, if you guys don't know, Rachel we work together.
Yeah.
She's like honestly, that kind of started like so slowly.
So slowly. It started
And
like
When I was doing bridal makeup.
1 day a week. Oh, yeah.
Remember, that's where I was like thinking about it.
You're right. I started helping you with bridal makeup before I started with your Instagram.
Yep. And I was like, when did that started? Like I was trying to think of, but at the time it was like I needed an assistant randomly for bridal makeup.
Yep.
And you would come because the weddings for a while, it's like we'd have 6 people. And I'm like, I can do 6. But once we're getting to like over 8 people.
You guys would be
no way.
surprised. Like they're like, I have 14 bridesmaids. And you're
Yes.
like, and you want me to get that done in 4 hours?
Yes. You're like, impossible. So Rachel, I'm like, I would do the eyes, the airbrush makeup, the lashes, and then you would do the bronzer, the blush, the pigment,
Yeah, just the
lips.
powders, like the easier kind of.
Mhm. And so she started doing that, and then she started being like, maybe I could help with like the emails to the brides and stuff. And I'm like, yes, because
Mhm.
that I think is one of the hardest parts of like, not the hardest part, but it's a lot of talking in between.
It is. And then it's like to them, like it's like my wedding day and it's very important, but
Yes.
you're communicating with like how many other brides.
Right.
So they're not like your sole focus.
Right.
So some would be like super nonchalant and some would be like asking questions every day,
Yeah.
so.
And I think too, it has a lot to do with like, they're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You tell me, here's how many
Right.
people, timeline, that kind of stuff. But we would get like 13, 14 people done in 4 hours.
Right.
Sometimes because I literally had always had 2 people in my chair. And so then it started to work into like, okay, maybe I can help with like linking and all the comments and whatever.
Right.
Because she is way more organized than I am. And that's probably our icks about each other. Our top is I have a crazy brain.
She does. Like her chaos, just like.
I have ADHD. Rachel's OCD. Ethan has OCD. So I think it's really hard to work for somebody who has ADHD and try to track.
Well, especially when I'm like stuff like me and Ethan are very similar. Like
Yes.
stuff like triggers me, mess triggers me, like chaos.
Yes.
Like,
And that's just me all the time.
yes.
So like, I think probably I'll just like randomly, and I say, do this all the time to you and Ethan. I'll be like, so I was thinking, da, 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 like out of the blue, out of nowhere. And they're like, what is it? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I literally sometimes will be like, I need more context on this. I'm not in your brain. I don't know what you're saying. She'll just send a picture sometimes, and I'm like, do you want me to link this?
She's like, I don't know where any of this is from.
What's happening?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's probably, I think now, like we working together, that's like our biggest.
Yeah.
What else? I think I have to think about this.
I know.
I should have.
What also I feel like her ick about me probably is that like I need a plan.
Oh, yeah.
And my ick about her is that she doesn't. And like it'll be like, who's driving to the concert on Saturday? And it'll be like Thursday. She's like, that's not on my radar yet. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's 2 days away. How is that not on your radar? How are you not worried that like we won't have a ride?
I think probably one of the biggest, that's the thing, because like you'll be like, what's the weather like in Florida? You'll be looking 2 weeks before you go. I'm like, I haven't even looked. I don't even know. I have not a clue.
I like
about
need
everything.
A plan always.
I like not having a plan.
Like if we go on vacation, like I go with the flow there.
Yeah.
But like it's the planning to get to somewhere, or like, you know what I mean? The planning of who's going to babysit my kids? When are we leaving? What time? I need to know when I need to be ready by. I need to know who's, you know what I mean? Like,
and I don't think about that stuff until the night before.
Which is wild.
Yeah. I'll be like, but I'll think about what I'm wearing weeks before.
But also, I guess, now that I think of it, Ethan takes care of a lot of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know that you've ever had to like worry about it. And I'm the Ethan in my family, and Josh doesn't worry about it. Like if we ever need a babysitter, that man's not the one reaching out to people. It's me.
Yeah.
And if you ever need a babysitter, it's usually Ethan.
Yeah.
So like you've never had to like stress about it, I guess.
Right. I think because I'm a baby of the family, I'm used to people just taking care of it for me. But I'm the person who has like all these random crazy fun ideas to go, let's go do this, let's go do that. And then Ethan's like, okay, I'll just set it up. But my mom is like that.
Totally.
So I'm married somebody just like my mom.
Yeah.
Which
I'm like, I wish Josh had a little bit more Ethan in him, let me tell you.
Yeah, he's like me in the forgetfulness.
And I also think he has ADHD.
Totally.
But he has he hyper focuses.
Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't have like cluster piles or anything.
Mm.
But like if that man's like in a project, he'll forget to eat. He like just.
Well, and if you're like, hey, and I do this all the time, but like I'll go to the store and be like, Ethan will be like, hey, did you grab blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot. You told me. Yep. I forgot. And I think it's like I have to have so many things of like reminders. Otherwise, I'm forgetting.
That's Josh too. And it drives me.
Yeah.
Like, I talked to you 10 minutes ago to get milk. How did you already forget?
Like, I don't know.
Like, I'll get home and I'll be like, where's the milk? And he'll be like, I forgot. I'm like, in 10 minutes?
Okay. Somebody asks, how does one survive infidelity in marriage?
That is not a question for either of us,
No.
thankfully.
Yeah. I don't know, but I honestly, do you know what our biggest fear is? And it's so, not fear, it's stupid, but
It's like irrational.
It's irrational. But like the amount of times that because I had a situation with a friend, and we'll kind of get into that. Like that just totally whatever. But I got so many messages when I shared on Instagram about like my friend totally effing me over.
Yeah.
And they're like, my best friend cheated on me with my husband. I don't know how many of those we read. And I'm like,
I had a friend in high school whose mom like had a best friend for years, and late in life, in their 50s, she slept with her husband, and then they got a divorce and they're together now.
That, if you have ever been through that, no.
It's like you have to mourn two of your favorite people in the world.
Yeah.
And they like, that's like the
and they
biggest
fucked
betrayal.
you over hard. Like, how do you even ever get over that?
Yeah.
We say it all the time because we're like, can you, and then we just talk about it and whatever. Because Shania Twain, I think that happened to too. I was watching
You're
her thing.
right.
But it's like you are losing your husband and your best friend at one moment. And then it's like, how do you trust people after that? I know. I don't know because I've never been through infidelity, so I'm not sure. But and neither have you. But man, I've just been betrayed by a friend, and I'm still effed over about that.
Yeah.
Like I still think about it, and we talk about it.
Betrayal's hard,
Really
regardless
is.
of like I've gone through like betrayal friendships too, and you're just kind of like,
yeah,
I
don't. I think Rachel and I both are. I'm an Enneagram 8. She's an Enneagram 6. And like the main thing that they say about us is like we are loyal people, and to a fault.
Yeah, super loyal. Like it says I hold on to relationships longer than I should.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely had a relationship like that. And like
Yes.
Court would be like, why are you still friends with her? She's not a good friend to you. And then it was like years later, I was put in that situation where I was seeing all the toxic and you couldn't see it.
Yeah. I think that's another time when we, like, our biggest fights have been like big. It has nothing actually to do with
us,
what we did to each other.
Yeah.
It's what a friend is either doing to me or a friend doing something to her. And I'm getting mad, but then you are, it's like if I would say, how can you be friends with her? She's like, and you would defend her.
Yeah.
But then it would be the same for me. Like you would say stuff and I would defend her. So then we're fighting.
Yep.
But not for anything that we did to each other.
Yeah. It's honestly a lot of toxic people that were in the friend group, and that kind of just trickled into our friendship.
Should we go into one of our biggest fights? And it's like, should we talk about, okay. One of our biggest fights that we did to each other actually was, I can only think of two things. The Twizzler one. And then when your mom called me.
Yes.
And that's the only, I'm like.
And they're both like so
stupid.
When we were really young.
Really young. The one was like, I think we were like 15, maybe.
Yeah.
I had a I had a Twizzler, and I randomly, I feel like it's my dumb brain, like so impulsive. I just whacked her with it, not even thinking. And you were like, ow, that hurt. And then you whacked me back. And it really did hurt.
It did.
And I didn't.
Remember I had a big welt?
Yes. And I didn't even, we were babysitting somebody's child at this time. We were just like hanging out, having Twizzlers, And then I was mad at you for hitting me.
Yeah.
And then
I was like,
well, that's what you get. I was like, fine. I was like, ow. And then
you were like, well, I didn't do it on purpose. And I'm like, well, I
don't even know why I said that.
You clearly did it.
I didn't do it on purpose to like hurt you, but like, I don't know why I even thought that wouldn't hurt you. I was like,
you did do it on purpose.
Yeah.
But it's like you felt justified in being like, I didn't know it was going to hurt.
Yeah, I didn't. I was like, I didn't know it was going to hurt. Oh, it's so dumb. And then the other one was.
Basically, I got in some trouble in high school,
Rachel was a drinker.
Told Court about it. And I was
so
like,
was I, though.
She told my mom. But my mom had called her.
Yes.
And her mom was involved. And at the time, like, obviously being a mom now, I'm like, I get it. Why you would be like, it's intimidating for someone's mom to be like, hey.
Yeah, I remember my mom saying, Joy's on the phone and you need to talk to her. And I was like, why? I never had talked to your mom on the phone before.
Right.
So I was like, hello? And I was like 16 at the time.
Yeah, I was like a junior, I'm pretty sure.
She was like, did Rachel drink last? I can't even remember what the question was. Did she go to a party? I can't even remember.
Because I was really hungover the next day. So I was like puking still.
Oh.
And so
She was worried?
She
Or
knew.
mad? Oh.
She like had an inkling, like, you're not just sick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you drank. And, so she was smart and she reached out to my best friend knowing that we were just at church, and I probably told her everything because we always did.
Yeah.
And Court obviously spilled the beans, which I understand now, but when I was 16 it was so dramatic and it felt like such a betrayal.
Oh, I felt like shit too.
Because like I was like, I trusted you and you betrayed me. You told my mom and now I'm grounded for a month, and like,
my mom being like, Court.
Totally.
Tell the
both
truth.
moms being like harping on you.
And I remember being like, I felt sick to my stomach because I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But I have two people. It's like if I would have
they're like authority figures.
Totally. And so we didn't talk for like, I think this was the longest we didn't talk.
Courtney out for like at least a week.
At least a week. And
I wouldn't answer her calls. Her mom actually ended up calling my mom, I think. And then my mom was like, Renee wants to talk to you.
Oh.
Yeah. Because she had to have called my house phone because I talked to your mom on the phone.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
What did she say?
She said, Court really misses you and she feels really bad. And so then they made a plan for us to go to the Edge.
The Edge.
My mom was like, you can go to the Edge.
Rachel was grounded, but she wasn't grounded from my house.
Yeah. No, your mom called my house and I
Wow.
talked to your mom because I
Yeah.
think she saw you struggling.
Oh, I was like, I don't think I talked for a week because I was so depressed about it.
Yeah.
I felt like terrible. And then we talked.
It was literally like 2 seconds.
Yeah, we were like in the bathroom. We went to the bathroom and then we talked and you understood. And like that was probably our biggest fight, that like we didn't talk for a long time.
Yeah.
Because like now we're like, I think the longest we went was that one fight, which was like overnight. And that fight had literally nothing to do with us either.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that had to do with us. So that one was just kind of, we had a very toxic friend who would chirp in ears, and
I noticed her chirping and I was like, we were at a concert and I was like, who cares? Let's just have fun. Because I feel like Courtney, if she gets like into a mood, it's hard to get her out of a mood.
Yeah.
And so I was just trying to like protect Court's peace and be like, who cares?
Yeah. Like, we're here to have fun. We're seeing Carrie Underwood.
Yes.
But it was like, and we were drunk too. I think
We were
fighting
drinking. Yes.
is so stupid. Like when you watch it on TV, on these reality TV shows, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
But I'm like, can you imagine if people were recording us like
No,
doing
we
this,
were like yelling at each other.
yelling.
Ethan was, I'll never forget it. Ethan was downstairs cleaning. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
And he was wiping
But like you could tell he was
countertops.
listening.
But and it's like we went upstairs. We probably yelled at each other for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because like
I was literally
Court was mad at me for something I felt like I didn't do. So then I was like, no, I'm standing up for myself. This is bullshit. Like
Yeah.
I was mad.
Yeah,
And it ended with me screaming at her, you're being crazy. I'm leaving. And I walked downstairs and Ethan is still sitting there wiping.
Did he say goodbye?
I
Like,
don't know. I stormed out. Like
Yeah.
I grabbed my stuff and I left. Like I don't even think I spoke a word to him. Like he obviously heard us screaming the whole time.
And how funny is like that night, that next day, we went to the concert and we had like the best time. But I think
We called each other in the morning.
Yes,
I think we
we
texted
talked.
and said, are we ready to talk?
yeah.
We were both sober and I called her and she was like, I don't even know why I was mad. It was so stupid.
It
like
was-
I'm not even mad anymore.
It was so stupid. And it's one of those fights that I'm like, oh my God. It's like when you're at a perfect drunk almost, that it's like you're not rational
Yeah.
at all. And also, it was like high emotions, and that other person was feeding on those high emotions.
Yeah. And that's what I was trying to like stop.
But I
But
didn't
she-
see that. I
right.
didn't see it that way.
She took that as like I was playing devil's advocate for like the friend that she was upset with, and it was like
it was stupid.
Yeah,
but it does really go to show that when you remove one toxic friend, that you are like, wow, we are not dramatic at all. There's nothing to talk about.
I know, it is weird.
It is so weird, but
to just like everyone get along, and you're like, wow,
yeah. And by the way, that's not the friend we're talking about. Is not the one that
different friend
betrayed us. That
recently,
one,
yes,
yeah. One of those questions was, how does Rachel handle the same friend that hurt you? And did you know the mean girl well?
So yeah, she went to church with us.
Mm-hmm.
We all grew up together, Jason, Ethan, all of us. So I think we all felt like really betrayed because
we did.
I wasn't like close with her by any means. You guys went to school together. I, obviously went to a different school. So yeah, like her and I didn't connect really, but like she was around a lot because she was friends with Court. And
went to the same church.
And so we grew up we roomed with her at church camp.
Yeah, we did.
And we went out of our way to be nice to her and include her all the time. So I think we all were just dumbfounded.
Yeah. But also, we were all dumbfounded, but we all were like,
but also it kind of makes sense.
Wow, yeah, because there was a lot of things growing up that I think when you grow up with people, you don't have that gauge that you do when you're an adult.
Yeah.
Like you're toxic. I didn't say that in the first grade. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But the older we got and in high school and stuff, I kind of was like, okay. But she was in our wedding and yeah.
So she wasn't like someone in our close circle or someone you would have seen
Recently,
on Instagram or something. It was like, we grew up together, kind of went your separate ways, but you still talked. She had texted you when Piper died.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were still communication and things like that. So essentially this girl was like writing lies about Courtney on the internet. And it's just like.
And Ethan,
which like.
It's so.
There's a lot of stuff about Ethan out there. And it is just like insane to me. People know, these are strangers who know nothing about their lives and don't know anything. And people just grasp onto that and like just take it as their word. Like,
yeah,
it's wild.
It honestly is so weird. And Rachel, I think, was just as infuriated as I was about this whole situation.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
We haven't stopped talking about, it's just like me and her we have to like talk it out to process it.
We're like the people too. I don't know if you guys do this, but we like rehash it like from 10 years ago. And like, you know what I mean? We talk about the same.
You're like, remember that one time? And
then we'll go on and on and on and on.
It's like Ethan's probably heard these same stories. And Josh.
And like we're talking about it like it's fresh.
Yes. Austin will come in sometimes like, what are you guys mad about? We're like, oh, we're not. We're just talking. And it could have been
like,
something.
Are you guys fighting? And we're like, no.
No, we're not. We hardly
we just
are
get
fighting.
Passionate.
We really do. We get like.
But you and I are both like, we both like hate injustice. Like, I just like anyone who says, and I'm just like, that's not true. It feels so awful. And I obsess about it. And like.
And I think it's harder when it's somebody that like, I'm like, bitch, you have my phone number. You can call me to see if this, that, and the other thing. Like, why are you sitting here also
perpetuating these
lies?
Rumors that are online that are completely false?
It's actually, honestly, it's hilarious. Like the way that we cackle at the way that these people believe this shit, and it's
some of it is so wild that I'm like, you have to laugh.
It's funny. Like where you're like, okay, wow, you'll believe anything. Like if somebody's like, the sky is green, you're like, oh my God, the sky is green. I'm like, people, use your skills. It's not that hard.
Right.
To be like, okay, does this make sense? But also I think if you are looking for bad in anyone, you're gonna find it.
You're gonna find it, or you're gonna believe that it's out there.
Yep. Because at the end of the day, nobody's perfect. Ethan and I are not trying to be perfect. We are literally just sharing, but it's like almost like people want to find a fault.
Yeah.
I'm going to dig and I'm going to find a fault and this, that. And it's like.
And there's plenty of faults, but who goes out on Instagram and like blasts all their issues?
Yeah.
Nobody.
But don't be sneaky enough to not know that you are going to be found out, because it's literally ridiculous. It took us 5 seconds to be like,
We found out
Okay.
2
Yep.
of the people
Yeah.
in like 2 seconds. I'm like, you guys aren't
You're
very
not
anonymous.
No. And if you're going to spread lies, like make them believable.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap.
Some wild stuff.
Honestly. Oh, do you have matching tattoos? We do.
We have 2.
We do. Yep. Our first one was I have it on my ribs and you have it on your foot.
It was my very first tattoo. I would have probably never even had tattoos if it wasn't for Court like pushing me out of my comfort zone.
She's that person who's like, she talks like, I want to get a tattoo. But then she won't.
The permanent like side of it, like I freak out thinking like, well, what if I don't like it in 10 years? Or, so it's just like, I didn't know what I wanted. And she's like, this is the tattoo we're getting. I already paid for it. Let's go. And I was like,
yeah.
What was I, like 21 maybe?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And yeah, my first tattoo was on my foot too. Like that, why?
The foot hurts.
It's bony. It's going to hurt.
I remember the guy too being like, whoa, first tattoo on the foot. You're brave. And I was like looking at Court like, what?
I know. And I got it on my ribs and that is probably the most painful one. And I remember specifically, Rachel was like, I don't want to go first. Like, you go first. And I was like, okay, fine. So I was like, I know she's going to watch my face and gauge how painful this is. So she was just sitting there. And I remember looking at this red toolbox that the other tattoo artist had.
Yeah.
And it hurt so bad. And I felt like I couldn't breathe because I'm like, if I breathe, are you going to fuck it up on my ribs or something?
Yeah, because your ribs are moving or whatever.
And you were like, you didn't even flinch. And I'm like, I tried.
Yeah, she was.
But I do that all the time with tattoos. They're like, can you feel it? I'm like, yeah. But I can really be like, it's fine.
I know.
I'm a weirdo.
And then in Nashville, our little son, it was like a party that had like free tattoos. So you can't like not get one.
I know. And then Rachel has other ones. She has some on her wrists. Both wrists. So yeah. Cute.
I always forget about the hearts. I never
know.
see them.
Well, it's on the other side. I forget about my breathe one, but I'm always wearing bracelets. So how to navigate getting so close you fight like sisters. We just literally fight like sisters.
Yeah.
But like yelling.
It's like we can be really passionate and yell, but then like you're over it the next day. You know what I mean? Like, when you're like at the end of the day, they're family and you just like got to get over it.
Yeah. I think too, like we both are very good at seeing each other's side.
Definitely.
Yeah. It might take like a day.
Like stew on it. It's like we fight. We both get really defensive.
100%.
Immediately defensive. And it's like, and then there's these big long texts or big, and then sometimes we'll stop talking and then I'll like reread it and be like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I get where she's coming from. And then when she talks, she'll be like, I get where you're coming.
Uh-huh.
Never, ever have we maliciously done anything to it. It's always miscommunications or the wording of something and someone grasped it differently than it was meant to be or.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a time like where I just think at the end of the day, we obviously have different brains. So like sometimes I am somebody who just like says stuff and sometimes that comes off so like blunt.
Right.
Which is harsh. I feel like I'm better at now at like, I have to think about this for a second. So because my initial thing is to respond in like anger and like defensiveness. And now I'm just like being like, okay, I have to like
be mindful of like how I word this. And
yeah. Which growth, right?
Yes.
Like you just.
You've had lots of it.
Yes. A lot.
She's very different.
Sick of it.
Yeah.
I know. I literally was telling Rachel, I'm like, I can't even like a year ago, like look at myself and like relate to my own self. Like I'm that different from like even a year ago. But watching like old videos, I'm like, oh, I don't know who that person is. It's just different.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I think it just takes like losing my grandma, which was terrible and like very traumatic, to make me go like, at the end of the day, does this matter?
Right.
That's like what I'm like, okay. Like I've been taking life way too fucking serious.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. It's crazy because like I'm watching this with Nevaeh. She's so much like me.
Yeah.
Where she'll hold it in and something's bothering her and you're like, and sometimes like, yeah, you don't want to talk about it at that moment, but there's a different moment. And so she's a lot like that where I feel like I'm pulling it out of her. And because she's like, no, it's fine. And that's what I would be like.
That's how Jada is too. And
Yes, she is.
so
She is.
the other day, so she had surgery on her legs. Her femurs were like extremely turned. So she walked, like her gait was weird. And like, so we had corrective surgery. And she was sitting in like, the pencil stick sit with your legs straight out.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, oh, weird. It doesn't hurt to sit like this anymore. And I was like, I didn't
Like
know.
a pike?
Yeah.
With her legs? Okay.
And I go, I didn't know that ever hurt you. And then she's like, oh, she just turned her like foot out like this.
Mm.
And she was like, oh, I couldn't really do that before. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's like all these things that I didn't realize it was affecting. Like
that was hard
but like
for her?
that's all she knew. So like
Yeah.
now I'm like, holy cow. Like, how did I not know?
Well, that's like Nevaeh and Jada both being like, why they're a little fussy. You take them to the doctor, like, they have a double ear infection. And you're like, they didn't even act like there was anything wrong.
Nope.
It's so wild.
I was like, oh, she was just a little fussy at night.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, her eardrum's about to explode. I'm like, what? But you know what? My mom said the same thing that happened to me. She said, I brought you in and they were like, she's a double ear infection. Like, but
that's how I was too.
Yes. And I always say like I'm a suffer in silence kind of person because like it's hard to ask for help.
It really is. And then why does it feel like a weakness to be like, my ears hurt or whatever? I would get cranked on my teeth and I would be like, Mom, it's fine. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Because she would be more upset than me. I broke my arm and I didn't even cry. I was like, it's fine. Danielle cried. So it was like I grew up thinking like, I'll just be quiet.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I don't either.
It's
but
really
my
weird.
mom always just be like, oh, where does she get that from? And I'm like, I guess I didn't realize that I was kind of like that.
Yeah. Okay. Do you, this is such a good question. Do you get FOMO when y'all aren't with each other and you see them with other friends? Absolutely.
Do we get jealous?
Does it ever end?
Sure do.
Yeah. Like I'm like, Ethan will be like, court. I'm like, I don't know why. Like, I'm almost 40 and I'm still like, well, she's hanging out with. I don't know why. Or like,
I don't know why either.
Yeah.
I feel like for me though, like this past year, Court's like, obviously grown a lot on Instagram, and she got invited to go to all these trips with like other Instagrammers. And that like feels so threatening to me because I feel like, what can I fucking bring to the table? Like when you have all these people who are in the same field as you and you all like are dressing cute and doing this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like,
it's different though. It's not.
I know. Like Court's like, we have like so much history that like, but like it's hard to see these like big fancy parties and her just like out there living her best life. And I'm at home on the couch like, this is annoying, and I don't want her to be close to all these people, and I don't want her to have any more new friends. Like, she has enough freaking friends.
Yeah, I do. But I will say, like, I think too, like being there, you don't realize how uncomfortable I am.
Yeah.
It doesn't ever show like on the outside, but like inside, I'm like, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
I always felt like I'm like, I don't belong here. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why I feel like I don't. And I've told you that, like, when I got invited to LTKCon, like, the very first time, I remember being like, I don't know anybody. I don't feel like I should be here. I don't belong here. Nobody, it's a huge, like, it takes a lot out of me.
Yeah.
And luckily, I've found a couple close friends that, like, the ones that I'm like, yeah.
Right.
We're friends. Jess.
Well, and I got to go to an event with you for your work, and there was a lot of like really popular people there. And at the end of the day, like, I guess because like I know you're just a person.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're just people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just like normal people.
I think the biggest thing that gets in people's heads like about Instagram, or like something that people think is like, oh, they have this many followers, la la la. I am always like, at the end of the day, if you have 0 followers, you are just as important as somebody with 1 million.
Right.
Like, to me, that's always been the thing.
At the end of the day, that's your job.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
not who I am.
Right.
Like, I'm like, all these people are regular people.
Right. With regular and it's like the more that I met and just like people were so sweet and nice, and because I kept telling Courtney, like, I have imposter syndrome, like I don't feel like I should be here, but then she's like, I feel like that too.
all the time.
Yeah. And then it was like, you know, I got to meet Claire, who was like a close friend. And she,
So sweet.
you know, we were all just like,
Mm-hmm.
felt nervous.
Yes.
It was just like, we were all in the same playing field, even though like I don't have 300 something thousand followers, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think there's ever, even though we know that like logically, even if she's hanging out with somebody like a lot and I'm like, like, what are you talking about when you're doing that? It's like, I think it's just because we're like, we want to be there too.
Yeah. But we also are just probably we're like really relying on each other.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
I feel like
we're codependent. Is that
the
thing? Yeah.
Like, I don't think that most best friends probably hang out as much as we hang out. But at the end of the day, like, we work together. We live 10 minutes apart.
Our kids are friends.
We just don't really fight.
And our husbands get along.
They've gotten close. Like, it's just easy, and we enjoy being around each other. So, like, why can't we?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it's one of those, it's like we literally never get sick of each other. And I'm like, we could hang out for a week on vacation. We went to Destin for a week.
Yeah.
And
not
like
one
we could
fight.
No, we could hang out the next day if we wanted to. Like, got home, like had our kids. We're like, do you want to hang out? Like,
we probably do.
We probably do.
Like, okay, well, you want to come over and watch shows? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though we just spent a week together.
I think the thing for me too is like when I'm mentally there's nobody else in the world that I can mentally be around when I'm really, really low except you.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, it doesn't take energy. Like being at your house, or you being at my house, whatever. It's not like some people you have to have mental energy for.
Right. Like, we are both introverts, and at the end of the day, we could both be on empty. Like, I need to recharge my battery, and I do that all the time, like, just in my own room or, like, reading a book. But,
being
like,
alone.
Court could be there, too, and I would still recharge, basically.
Right.
Like, we can just sit and scroll on our phones. We chit-chat. We watch shows. And at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, I feel better.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, like, we're, like, just...
It's not the same for Ethan. If Ethan if he comes in on my introverting time, I'm like, no.
Same with Josh.
But he wants to chit chat, and I'm like, I don't want to talk about that.
See, when I'm like, I'm going in my room, like, nobody talk to me. Like, Josh, like, leaves me alone. Like, he knows.
Ethan will, but then he'll be like, come in and check.
I'm bored.
Hey, what are you doing? I'm like,
you need anything? You need a snack?
You need water? Like, yes. Okay. What's the hardest thing you've supported each other through, and how?
Got it. Well, Court has a lot.
I do. God,
I think
you got some patience,
I think
man.
the one that like really hit me was the stroke.
Yeah.
Because I was there, like in the when Nevaeh was like my arm, and she was like trying to like, and like I know Court on today's podcast like touched base a little bit about it, but like I was like, I will like Google it for you, and I will like and there was a whole bunch of things coming up, but I was like, oh, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of diabetes. Like, that makes sense, you know?
I think, too, like, we know what we're thinking.
Yeah.
And so, like, you will be like, I have anxiety when it comes to health stuff.
Right.
And so, like, you being like, I'm going to Google it. Because I'm like, it's like, that I knew that I wanted to.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I just feel like I need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But you doing that, like, it's weird, but
it almost took that away from you wanting to.
Like, I can't see it, but you just tell me.
Yeah.
Like, you shield me a little bit.
Yeah, which I did, because there was, like, stroke did pop up, but, like, never in a million years. But I remember shopping at Target. Like, I knew you guys were at the hospital or whatever, and she texted me and said it was a stroke. And I was like, you told me it wasn't a stroke. And, like, obviously,
me like, the fucking doctor told me that.
Yeah, and then I just like didn't know what to do, and I don't know. I remember sobbing at your house. Like, I went to her house to clean and do it, and I remember sobbing and thinking, her life is never going to be the same. Like, I was like preparing myself to mentally be there for you to prepare, because like those were some of the things that were being said. Is like, she may never use her arm again, and and then I remember seeing her coming home and like walking with that belt and just like being like,
that was the worst.
It was scary.
Yeah. I think like that night when we came home, because it was COVID, nobody had seen her, and I didn't really like record her all that or like
Yeah.
take pictures like I normally do, because I was just like, I don't know what's happening. But like when it was like we opened the door and I remember it was like, this is real now.
Yeah.
Like, how are we gonna walk her from A to B when she can't stand?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was hard. That
It
was
was
hard.
really hard, but then like thank God for her positive attitude and like
Mm-hmm.
how fast like she like went
Got better.
up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Probably when Josh deployed
Yeah.
and then with Jada, like just recently. And when Josh deployed, that was hard.
Yeah.
Like, because you had Jada and Hal was like
18 months.
18 months and Jada was 3. So
And like, so in the military, like sometimes you're like, no, you're deploying. Josh wasn't in a deployable unit. He just like randomly got pulled because they needed to fill a slot. So it was like
a shock.
Blindsided me.
Yeah.
It was like he told me like January 1st, like after the new year, and was like, I'm leaving in April.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like I was like shocked.
Yeah. I think for both of us, like how we show support is doing things that we already know. Like I already know Rachel, like she doesn't want to be alone. She needs her time alone without the girls. And so Ethan would take the girls, we'd go out, we figured out a daycare person, and then me and you would just like have a day.
Every Wednesday,
the kid, like the Jada and Hal and Gray would go to the thing, and like I would just come over. It's
all
like you
the time.
needed an adult to like talk to, because you were just with, and I remember feeling like that when the kids were so little. Like I was like, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I need to talk to an adult.
Well, yeah, it was like my person wasn't there. I had tiny children, and it was just like
it was a lot.
It was,
yeah.
But yeah, like Ethan babysat my kids all the time. He came and cleaned my house.
Yeah, deep
like,
cleaned.
My snowblower was broken. He came and fixed. Like I leaned probably the most on you guys, if anything. Like
because you just have a hard time asking, and I just already know. Like Josh asks me, what does Rachel want for her birthday? What does Rachel want for Christmas? Because like I know.
I don't even know. Like I'm like ask
know.
Court, and then everything I got, I was like, yeah, I love it. I love it.
Know it. Like you sent the picture. I forgot to like I wore those Nikes today, and I was like, those were the ones that you were waiting on, because I was like, I already know she wants this, but she would never like think of that and to say, like, oh yeah, I saw these one Nike shoes one time, whatever. I just have a very good, like, I know.
And your intuition is so, like, I feel like she can just be like, Rachel's like stressed out. I can tell. Like she needs a day. We're going to go somewhere.
Yeah. Can we go to a movie quick?
It's like you would see me once and be like, yep, she needs
it. I can feel it in my gut. We're just like going to go away. And and then Jada. And I think like being through all the medical stuff, it was so easy for me to
it's weird to see the similarities now. It's like, with like what Nevaeh went through with her stroke is like what I'm seeing. Like they had Jada using a belt thing and walking, and she has her little walker, and Nevaeh had a little walker.
PT.
Now she's doing PT and doing, and I'm just like.
Her doing those, I saw that story of her doing the like.
Yeah. And Jada got really freaked out like when her cast came off and she like couldn't initially walk, and she like had a little breakdown, and I was like, use Nevaeh as like, remember Nevaeh had to use this belt, and like Nevaeh. So it's like such a full circle moment to like weird. I was like so thinking like your life is never going to be the same, and like, and then Nevaeh did all these incredible things. So I'm like, Jada, you can do all these incredible things.
Yes, absolutely.
It's
scary
like,
and hard and frustrating at the time. Like the way Nevaeh also, I remember crying and being like frustrated that like her hand wouldn't open or like just certain things. And now to see where she is, and then just like watching Jada. But it's like, I think as friends, we're very good at like knowing what each other want. So like without saying it or asking, we just like show up. We're like, hey, or you just like send Dairy Queen. Like, you're going through some shit. Here's some Dairy Queen. I'm like, yep, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
It's like we just know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think for both of us, our main thing is like, we don't ever ask what each other needs.
Right.
We just like do it. And I don't even know. Like, we don't even have boundaries.
We really don't. We talk about everything. Anything.
Everything.
nothing could be like, I couldn't do anything in front of you that would like embarrass me.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We talk, like, we're in the bathroom. Like, we're literally we talk about everything. There's nothing that we don't talk about.
Seen everything.
Yep.
Court watched me give birth with like my butt in the
Yep. Both times. Both times. And it's like I was not even I'm not even phased, but I'm kind of one of those people. I'm not phased by anything really.
Yeah. I feel like same. It's just kind of like.
It's like embarrassment. I'm like, I don't really get embarrassed.
I get embarrassed with other people, but like with
Yeah.
you and Josh, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
We hit 120.
All right.
We did it. All right, you guys. Thank you for watching and listening. We
Yes.
will plan on doing this. I think we should just have like a monthly thing or a
Yeah.
bi-monthly thing.
For sure. This was fun.
So fun. So we will see you guys in the next one. Bye.